Continuing to the back of this. Looking at this right here, what's given to you? What do you have to find? What do you need to find? That's it? This is number one. Yes? This is what's given to you. Are the points. Am I able to go ahead and graph those points by plotting them on the grid? Yeah, let's do that. 2, -4. -1, +2. 0, 0. 1/2, -1. -3, 6. +3, -6. Positive slope or negative slope? Positive slope means you go up the mountain. Negative slope means you go down the mountain. Okay. This is number 2, is graphing. We did that, correct? What's going to be number 3? You hit your total values. X, Y. What's your first point? What are all your X values? Write down the Y values. Write it down. Oh, good. I'm glad you got that one done. What's the next one that we can find? Equation. What's your equation? What's the equation of a line? Y equals what? 7x plus. What are the 2 things you need? Which is n, and? Good. Which one can I find? Yeah, what do I need for m? 2 what? 2 points, correct? Which 2 points looks best to use? Zero, 0 is the easiest one. Pick another one. We don't pick fractions, so don't pick the 1/2. So label it x1, y1, x2, y2. You see that? Your slope equation is y2 minus x1 over x2 minus x1. Look at the numerator. What are the 2 numbers you need for the numerator? Y2 minus y1. What are the 2 numbers you need for y2 minus y1? -2, 0. I don't even see where you got a -2 from. -2. Y2 is 0. Y1 is 2. The order of that matters. It's y2 minus y1. Do you understand? Not the first time we've done this. You've done this last year and also earlier this year. What are the 2 numbers? X2 minus x1. The order matters. Good. What is your slope then? Simplify it. What do we need to find next? No, that's not your equation. You got the m. What else do you need? Maybe it's a good thing that TikTok is banned. Maybe you don't have to deal with that crap anymore. Well, regardless what it is, you're not gonna be using that upstairs again. If I can't trust you to use that upstairs, you just won't have it upstairs. Just because I bought it for you doesn't mean that you get unlimited access to it when you have shown to me that you clearly cannot complete yourself. Pick a point that you're gonna use to find B. Which one is the easy point to pick? Good. 0. Plug it in. And tell me what is B. Good. What is your equation then? Rewrite your equation with M and B. Well, f of x equals negative 2x plus 0. You don't have to put the 0 there. Plus x is fine. Now that we're done with this, you can go to the word rule. How would you phrase this? Just read it. F of x is the output y, correct? Equal negative 2 times input x. You're just writing it in words. Do you see that? So you know the domain, the range, it's always positive infinity or negative infinity to positive infinity. Or you put all real numbers. That's the same thing. Does that make sense? Same thing with the range. Because if it's going to be a linear function, it's always going to be all real numbers or negative infinity to positive infinity. Let's take a look at the second question, or the fifth question. Looking at the fifth question, what's given to you? Yeah, start there. Number 1, given. What are the two things you need from an equation? M and B. Yep, slope and y-intercept. Which one would be the easiest one to find so far? Or y-intercept. Y-intercept is always going to be at the y, right? So point to the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Is that negative 2? Right? Has to be on the y-axis, can't be on the x-axis. Positive slope or negative slope? Positive slope means you're going up the mountain. Negative slope means you're going down the mountain. So look at the direction of that line. Is it going up or is it going down? These questions matter, Grayson. So looking at this right here, do you see the corner where this is at? Can't really tell. It looks like it's from this corner. It's going up 3 over 1. Do you see that? Yeah. So what's your slope? Which number comes first? Your slope is rise over run. So what's your number when it comes to rising up? And what's your number with running over? Which will represent your rise? 3 is the rise. Now look over here with what I just did. That's the rise. 1 is the run. Do you understand that? So what are the two numbers? So what's your slope? 3 divided by 1 is 1. So let's get that right, please. I don't understand where your head is. Yeah, you must be tired because you're not even making any sense. You've been getting simple questions wrong. Must be all that TikTok you've been doing. No, I cannot. I don't care. What's the next one we're going to find? Number 2 is the equation. F of x equals, what's the equation? Not plus b. What do we find for b? F of x equals mx plus b. That is the standard equation there. And then from that equation, then you replace m and you replace b with numbers. You should probably replace b. Look up what I wrote. Maybe you could get your hair out of your face, and maybe you can see a little bit better.
So I can see perfectly.
Really? Because it doesn't seem like it. You're getting the answers wrong.
I'm just not.
Well, then you should look up and get the right answers right and pay attention. What's your domain and range? Now that I have the equation, what are you going to write for the word rule? When you're ready, let me know.
Order pairs.
And do the order pairs and let's have a chart.
Value.
What are the x values you're going to use? Pick some numbers.
Well, does it have to be like specific numbers?
Your choice.
It can be any numbers.
Yep, your choice. But maybe you should take a look at number 1, 2, and 3 of the numbers that we used before, because I specifically asked you for them, and I said it's good to have a balance of positive and negative numbers, along with 0. So take a look at number 1, 2, and 3. What do we use for those 3?
-2, -1, 0, -2.
Great. We're gonna. What is your first coordinate? Your order pair.
-2, -8.
Keep going.
-1, -5.
Good. Keep going.
0, -2.
Is that all the same? Yes?
Yes.
Good. Let's move on to the next one. Last one. What's given? Okay.
Yeah.
This is given. Read it.
To find the output, where the input is.
To find the output means y equals, correct? What's the second clue?
Radian difference.
So what do I do with that? There you go. Now, this is your equation, correct? Go to number 2, which is your equation. You're gonna put f of x equals x squared minus 1. And also understand that this is a quadratic, which means it's gonna be a happy face like this, or a sad face like that. It's not linear. Do you understand? Which means that your domain and range are gonna change. It's not gonna be all real numbers. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, from there, what do you think you're gonna do? Let's maybe do number 3. Okay? Let's do a chart. Okay? Let me tell you how quadratic works. This is like another thing that your teacher should have told you. Y equals x squared. Okay? So, I want you to, on a separate piece of paper, draw a grid. And you need to have some color pen. Grab a color pen. Write down y equals x squared. And then label it as the parent function. The parent function means it starts at the origin. Okay? You really don't need to do that. Am I doing that here? I'm not doing that. I just drew that. You don't need to do that. That's ridiculous. That's fine. Start another one. I'm waiting for you to write down the parent function in number 1. The things I write down, you write down. The things I don't write down, probably because it's not important. So you don't need to draw a grid with a bunch of vertical lines. Because it's just wasteful. But good trying, though. Y equals x squared. This starts at 0, 0. You understand? So when I draw this, I put a dot right here, and I just draw a smiley face. That is the shape of the graph. Do you see that graph? You need to have a color for that. I used purple, so pick a color. If you label it 1. I don't understand why this is so difficult for you. When I go ahead and write things down, and ask you to write things down. No, 1 as in this is the first equation. This is 1 right there. Now, get a different color. You need to write down 2. I don't care where you write it, just make sure it's somewhere nearby. Y equals x squared plus 3 is your equation. What's the difference between the red one and the purple one? What's the difference between the... Yeah. So that means you go up 3. So you go 1, 2, 3. Draw your dot. This is your parabola. This is also called a parabola, which is the shape of this. It's a happy face. Grab a third color. I'm going to use blue. Y equals x squared minus 4. How is that going to be different? Yeah, you're going to go down 4 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now draw your dot. And there's your happy face. Do you understand? Okay, go back to your example right here. Do you see how this right here is your equation? What would it look like if you're to draw the graph? What would that look like? Look at number 1, 2, and 3 here to help you. Are you gonna go up, down, or stay at 0, 0? Down how many? So go down once, right there, draw your dot. Draw your happy face. Okay? And from there, which one can we do after this? This is the third one, which is the graph. What's the next one that we can do? Probably do a chart because we don't have any points, right? This graph is not going to tell me the points because it's not accurate. I'm going to do the chart. X, Y. What are you doing, Matt? Did you take the test? What'd you get? Yes, it does. Thank you. Next time, let's try to make sure you get a 10 out of 10, okay? Are you done with that book? Make sure you put the book away. What's your next book you're going to be reading? You can just put it here, babe.
Detective. Is this for mine?
It shouldn't be yours. What will that be yours?
I don't know.
Because I confiscated yours, remember? Unless you went ahead and took it back. Did you take it back?
Did you give it back?
No. I'm going to go check after this. Go brush your teeth, put your book back, go to bed. All right, so what are some of the points that we should be using?
-2, -1.
Then you brush your teeth again. Okay, let's plug it in. You ready? I'm going to do f of -2, f of -1, f of 0, f of 1, f of 2. When x is -2, you're going to do -2, make sure you put parentheses, squared minus 1. This right here, you need to pay very close special attention. This is saying it's a -2 times a -2, which is what? Positive or negative? What's 4 minus 1? So your first point is a -2, comma, 3. Does that make sense? Now fill in the rest. Let me know when you're done. Your points are going to be -2, 3. Grab a different color pencil. We're going to plot it because these points should be on this graph, correct? Right? Sometimes it might not be because your graph might be drawn like a little bit off. Do you agree with that? Okay, but it should be somewhere there. So -2, 3, so -2, yeah, it's definitely a little bit off. So that's okay. So -2, 3 is there, right? -1, 0. 0, -1, that's correct. That's where the point is. 1, 0, and 2, 3. So what this actually did was that kind of helped you draw how wide and how narrow your happy face is going to be. Do you see that? Okay. What is another thing that you actually noticed that happened with this? It's very different than the linears. Do you see any pattern that happened with us? Do you notice that the y value here, you have 3, 0, which is the negative, right? But then do you see how I repeated over here and repeated over here? The reason why the y value repeat is because you see how it's going down, 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 down for the y, but then it's going up. And it's going up because of the x squared. It's making that happy face. Do you see that? Okay. With your linear equation, it doesn't do that. Do you see what the points is? -8, -5, -2, 1, 4. It's usually going low to high. Do you see that? Or here, like on number 1, it's going from low, 1, and then high, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? It's not going from low to high to low, right? Or the one over here for number 2, it's going from 3, 2, and then do we not finish this? I don't know what the fuck happened, but something happened here. etc. Does that make sense? All right, so I want you to go ahead and flip over to questions number 1 and 2 and give it a try yourself. I'm going to go ahead and re-go over this one more time for number 1 and 2, and then we'll call it a day, okay? All right, so we're going to redo this one. This is for the first one. Number 1, what is given to you here? Oh. Given is the equation, correct? Well, with that equation, remember your domain is not going to be like this. Your domain is negative infinity to positive infinity, negative infinity to positive infinity. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Go back to number 5 or number 6. Number 6. We'll do the domain and range for that one. So take a look at this equation right here. This equation is going to be very different than a straight line. It's not negative infinity, positive infinity, right? Domain left and right. What would that be? Left and right. Look at the graph on the left. Look at the graph on the right. How far is it going to the left? How far is it going to the right? What do you think it's going to be? When it's going to the left, it's going to keep going, like further and further and further left. Negative infinity. What about to the right? It's going to go further and further right. Positive infinity. So that does not change from the linear equation, right? For the range, how far low does it get to? -1. Bracket, -1. How far up does it go? Does it keep going or does it stop somewhere?
It goes.
Good, infinity. Do you see the difference there? Now, for the range, another way that you can write this, you can also write it as x is greater or equal to -1, which means it includes -1, but it has to be bigger than -1. So -1 has to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, 100 million. Does that make sense? 2 different ways of writing it, okay? Make sure you have that down. Good. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 1. So you have the equation right here. From number 1, which is given to you, right? From number 1, which is given to your equation, you can actually, you're also given the word rule, right? So you can say you could say to find the output, I just put output y equals input x. Like you're not timing by anything, you're just timing by 1 equal, right? Plus 3. That's it, right? So 2 different ways of writing it, all right? Then your total values. What are the numbers we're picking again? 5 numbers, right? So you're going to do f of -2, f of -1, f of 1, f of 0, f of 1, f of 2. Oh, hold on a second. I screwed up. Hold on. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right. Better? You do know that you're going to plug this into the equation, correct? Right? So f of -2 is -2 plus 3, which is 1. So your point is -2 comma 1. Do you see that? What did you get for f of -1? Good. So your first point is -1 comma 2. What do you get for f of 0? So 0 comma 3. What about f of 1? Good. 1 comma 4. What do you think 5 or 2 is going to be? Good. Now I have this. I can actually plot the points, right? And connect the dots together, or I can use my equation, right? Yeah. For my equation, you know your slope is a 1/1 and your b is a 3. So where do I start? Y-intercept, which is what? 3. You go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. Do you see that? Connect your dot. And you look at these 5 points right here, the one that's in the ordered pair, they should be on this line somewhere, right? All right. Did you do number 2 yet on your own? Okay, so I'm gonna have you work on number 2 and then we'll reconvene, but make sure you finish number 1 and write everything down. So for number 2, what's given to you? Is the graph, right? 2 things you need to find the equation is, what are they? So point to where the graph crosses the y-axis. Did you point to that point right there? 1, correct? Positive slope or negative slope? Going downhill. Yep, the negative. So then what you need to do is take a look. Do you see how the corner of the square is going from here to here, here to here, here to here? Do you see that? You're going down 1 over 1. So it's a negative 1. Do you see that? Now that you have that, you can go to the very beginning, which is f of x is equal to mx plus b, right? F of x equal to negative 1x plus 1, correct? This is a linear, so you know it's negative infinity to positive infinity, or another way of writing this is all real numbers, correct?
Yeah.
Now, from there, we're going to do this, right? We're going to use the her words. You can put 2, find the output, and I'm going to put y. It's going to be a negative input, right? X plus 1, right? Now we can do a chart of values. Your chart should look like this. X, Y, we say negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Correct? F of a negative 2 is a negative 1 times negative 2, right? Plus 1, which is a positive 2 plus 1, which is 3, right?
Yeah.
All right, did you fill all the rest of these? F of negative 1, F of 0, F of 1, F of 2. 1 plus 1 is a 2, 0 plus 1 is a 1. That's gonna be a negative 1 plus 1 is a 0. Negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1. And that makes sense because you see how you're going from 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, it's going all in one direction, big number to small number, right?
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be like the parabola where it's going from a big number to a small number, from a small number to a big, back to a big number, right? Okay, our coordinate is negative 2, comma 3, negative 1, comma 2, 0, comma 1, 1, comma 0, and then 2, comma negative 1, and that's it. Is this a little bit easier to understand now you've done it a few times? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm gonna pause it right here for you to catch up, and then we'll see if you need to go over number